President Trump was almost on the verge of bankruptcy, and then all of a sudden he was flush with money. And we all know that domestic banks were not offering him and extending any credit to him. And so the question is, where did he get all of that money from?
We know that Trump is facing two state-level investigations into his finances, one by the Manhattan District Attorney, Cyrus Vance, and one by the New York Attorney General. Those are separate investigations, both looking at financial practices of the Trump organization. We know more about what the New York Attorney General is looking at. In that case, it's focused on whether Trump inflated the value of his assets such that he could fool lenders and taxing authorities into giving him benefits he didn't deserve.
So he's representing the value of them in some cases as one thing, much higher to banks, and to the state of the county who's taxing his properties that's much lower. That would be a type of tax fraud if they could prove it that could get Trump in trouble in New York.
Made up, fake. People in the IRS, they treat me very, very badly, but they're under audit.
The Times figured out that this audit that Trump has been ongoing with the IRS is really revolving around this $72 million refund that he got from the IRS a number of years ago.
To pay a lot of money if it's found that he didn't deserve that refund that he got. But we don't know at this point of any IRS investigation into any other part of his taxes.
The Times really unearthed a couple things here that the IRS could look at if they choose to. Maybe they already are and we don't know. For instance, you can see in the Times article all of the ways in which Trump is counting things that a lot of people would explain as personal expenses as business expenses, so he can write them off from his sort of tax footprint. So the $70,000 on caring for his hair.
Because my hair, I don't know about you, but it has to be perfect. Perfect.
His travel, things that a lot of people would consider personal expenses, he is considering business expenses. And that's something that the IRS could look at. Another thing is that Trump has been using consulting fees. He's paying consulting fees to a company that appears to be one run by his daughter, Ivanka. At the same time, his daughter Ivanka was an executive at his company, which does not appear to be like the sort of outside consultant relationship that the IRS is typically expecting one to be able to, taxpayers to be able to write off as a business expense.
This is such a beautiful hotel. The guy who owns it must be going to be successful somewhere.
We've known quite a bit about these debts even before now. The Times helped put some actual figures on a little bit of it, but he took out really large loans on the Chicago hotel, the DC hotel, and Doral. All huge loans, all from Deutsche Bank. And all of those properties are doing very badly. And that's based on information from before the pandemic. And the pandemic is really hitting all those properties very, very badly. I mean, whether it could ever cause him to go bankrupt is a bigger question. I mean, he still has very profitable assets in New York City. He owns stakes in 2 office buildings that he does not manage that are still quite valuable. He owns 40 Wall Street, which is not heavily levered. I mean, he has not borrowed heavily against, and which is a valuable building. So, I think it would be hard to speculate that he could go bankrupt, but he is going to have massive debts coming due on properties that are every month running in the red. And there's no easy way to solve for those issues. But other than that, I don't know that people will, people who are hoping to hear more about these cases before the election may be disappointed, because typically prosecutors are not going to reveal a lot of information in the middle of an election about a candidate. So it's possible much more could come out after the election.